Sawadee very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight.
Good evening, and kicking off the program with the latest from the Parliament. So actually today is the third day already, which is actually set to be a last day of a parliamentary debate on the annual budget bill. And of course, it's been quite, fierce. Certain words, probably not so pleasant, have been exchanged, so of course normal in politics. And of course this opposition Pheu Thai party tried to make the most out of it last day today by zeroing in on the government, accusing it of alleged widespread corruption in numerous projects in different departments. So the lower house is scheduled to vote tonight whether to accept in principle the draft budget bill worth 3.18 trillion baht, which is an increase of more than 2% from last year. The party's deputy leader Yuttana Darasatian of the Mahasarakam province told the lower house that he cannot accept the bill because it contains irregularities and lacks transparency in projects like the water pipeline supply concession in the Eastern Economic Corridor. Chinese submarines would still have problems with the engines, the planned procurement of F-35 fighter jets, which do not have weapon system, and overly expensive unmanned aerial vehicles or UAVs. Yuttapong claimed that the Royal Thai Navy plans to procure 3 UAVs at a cost of 1.34 billion baht, while the same type of UAV was procured at 340 million baht. So actually a big difference here, and this is per fighter jet by the Philippine Air Force. So the MP questioned the Royal Thai Force plan to procure a fleet of F-35 jets from the U.S. at about 2.7 billion baht each without any weapon system, while many people in the country are still suffering from economic hardships.
Meanwhile, Pheu Thai MP for Sakon Nakhon zeroed in on the budget for the Transport Ministry, particularly the Highways Department and the Department of Rural Roads, which are allocated 118.8 billion baht and 47.16 billion baht budgets respectively. He claimed that most of the spending of the two departments is concentrated in only 4 provinces, which are Buriram, Surin, Srisaket, and Nakhon Ratchasima in the northeastern region. The MP appealed to the Budget Scrutiny Committee, which will be set up after the first reading of the bill, to redistribute these disproportionate budgets so that other provinces will have money for road construction and maintenance. So the vote will be scheduled for around 10 p.m. today. So we will
depends, how the debate goes. But hopefully tonight.
Hopefully tonight by 10 p.m. But if not, we will have to wait for the official votes, and we will finally find out whether all of this will sail through.
Right, exactly.
And moving on to international politics, Thailand and neighboring Lao PDR have enhanced ties as Laotian Prime Minister Pankam Vipawan made his first official visit since assuming office last year this week. The bilateral ties have been elevated to a strategic partnership for growth and sustainable development, and 3 memoranda of understanding signed, including the 5-year action plan for the strategic partnership, the cooperation on the development of electrical energy in the Lao PDR 2022, and the Thai-Lao PDR Arboretum project. At a joint press conference, General Prayut Chan-o-cha also expressed the Thai government's support for the establishment of the Thai-Lao PDR Friendship Center for Social Development to provide a one-stop point of service and support for victims of human trafficking in Chai Thani district of Vientiane. And according to the government spokesperson, Thanakorn Wangbun Kongchana, both countries agreed to work closely to revive the livelihoods of people and economic activity along the border areas, which have been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The neighbors share over 1,800 kilometers of border, over half of which is divided by the Mekong River. The Thai Prime Minister also reaffirmed Thailand's readiness to support the Lao PDR in the construction of the Chiang Mai Luang Prabang Bridge to promote tourism connectivity along this corridor.
And both countries also agreed to accelerate and expand transport connectivity, especially rail links between the two countries through the construction of a new rail bridge near the first Thai-Lao PDR Friendship Bridge, which would then help in realizing the full potential of the whole Laos PDR-China railway. And of course, both countries also agreed to strengthen cooperation on digital economy and clean energy. Interesting indeed, with Thailand pledging to support the Lao PDR in the development of digital skills and capacity building of human resources, as well as the improvement of the international payment system. On security cooperation, and as mentioned earlier, Thailand and Laos actually have quite a long and big area of borders. So both countries are pledging to step up border patrols as well to prevent illegal crossings and to also prevent and suppress drug trafficking. And last but of course not least at all, the two countries also agreed to cooperate more to tackle organized crime such as the call center gangs and human trafficking. So as we reported in one of our shows this week with ThaiPBS World, you may have experienced it yourself, the widespread, rampant scams. And this also involves, the so-called call center gangs, basically.
Right, and it's very widespread at the moment, and they came up with so many tactics to fool the victims, as we previously reported that on the other side of it, many of the call center gangs, some of them were victims of human trafficking to begin with, so they are actually forced to get into this call center scamming to lure the victims as well.
Well, at least it's good that the authorities are stepping up efforts and, cooperate, because you can't just do it alone. You need your neighbor at least to help with that.
Yep, and apart from this, aside from the call center scamming, the human trafficking and illegal trafficking still remains a big issue, especially along the borders as well.
Exactly, something to still need a lot of room for progress. And moving on to internal politics, it does look like Chachad Sittipan, the new Bangkok governor, was having quite a busy day today, which is already the second day, the day after he assumed office. So he's been actually meeting several stakeholders, especially on several issues. For example, today he was kept busy meeting the representatives of Grungtep Thanakom, which is a public company which is over 99% owned by the city administration as an investment arm, and which is allocated a large budget each year. Chachad is also scheduled to meet with executives of the Anti-Corruption Organization of Thailand, which is a non-profit think tank. So basically, the discussion today that he was having with the public company trying to basically operating BTS Green Line, SkyTrain as well, focuses on this particular project for which the previous administration wanted to extend the operating concession, which is due to expire in 7 years, by another 30 years. So actually a very long time indeed. And the fare, a fixed fare maximum of 65 baht. And of course, this has been criticized by a lot of people using the SkyTrain service. And the new governor and his team also hope to reduce. They're also discussing the BRT bus service, which is currently losing about 120 million baht a year, and the bearing of all the overhead cables also under supervision of the same company. And the extension of the SkyTrain concession contract and the maximum train fare, of course, have come under heavy criticism, and it is something that the electorate, the voters, wanted also some sort of solution from their governor. So after the meeting with the company, Chacha said details can be decided upon and announced in about a month's time. He also admitted that there have been more than 5,000 complaints sent to his webpage, covering a wide range of problems from various groups of people. And he said the process for receiving complaints will be streamlined to make it easier. Well, you know, if you remember starting your first day or even first week, or probably even first month, and you still feel that, you know, you're not sometimes not in the groove, in the job yet. But this is something that probably the new governor thinks that there's really no time to waste on, you know, like he really gets into it with so many meetings and projects ahead.
Right, because since the first day when he found out that he will be the Bangkok governor with his landslide victory, he has been working a lot recently, whether it's observing the canals, the traffic congestion, or even talking to communities. He has been working really hard. And actually, since 2 years ago, he has been talking to the people, and he keeps continuing his work as well. And now let's move on to this story. Thailand has recently received an antique gold crown from the United States, which was part of a Buddha statue believed to be about 500 years old, with the help of the Department of Homeland Security. According to the culture minister, Ithipon Kunplume, the crown was made of 95% pure gold in the Lana art form to decorate a stone-sculpted Buddha statue, which is a popular practice during the period as a religious offering. And the crown itself weighs about 42 grams as well. The minister also explained that the antique crown is now being kept at the National Museum in Bangkok by the Fine Arts Department for study prior to being exhibited in the future. He went on to say that officials from the U.S. Homeland Security Department have been investigating some bronze sculptures believed to originate from the Prakonchai archaeological site in Thailand's northeastern province of Buriram, which are currently on display at the Denver Art Museum, with a possibility that the sculptures may be returned to Thailand. The minister said that he would prefer the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to settle all the legal matters before the antique sculptures are sent back to Thailand. The culture minister also praised the achievements of a committee set up by the government about 5 years ago to track artifacts which had been smuggled out of Thailand and have them returned, and the cooperation of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in the return to Thailand of such items, including the 2 Khmer lintels from the Asian Art Museum in the U.S. last year.
And the 2 Khmer lintels returned from the U.S. are to be put on display at the information centers of Sadokgokthom Historical Park in Sakeo Province and at the Phnom Brung Historical Park in Buriram. And currently, more than 100 items of ancient pottery that have already been returned to Thailand are being exhibited at the National Museum as well.
Well, it's nice to see that many of the artifacts have been returned to Thailand, and it's actually something that many people feel sort of relieved because this is something very special for the Thai people, because it's something from the ancient times as well.
Definitely good news. And ending the program with another piece of good news. So as we have reported, the Thai government has further relaxed the COVID measures, including the reopening of pubs and bars and several other entertainment venues, right? And so last night was the first such night they were allowed to open. So let's check out how it was at the busy Khaosan Road, basically, which has been now revived again.
looks very bustling once again
Right.
because since the COVID-19 pandemic, many of these areas had to close down due to the COVID-19 restrictions. So many of the pubs, bars, karaoke bars, and entertainment venues were pretty much quiet. And we can totally understand that people working in these sort of industries, they have been suffering a lot. So of course, today is actually a big day for them when they can actually revive their own businesses.
Nice to see that as well. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Do catch us like this every weekday at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook and YouTube Live.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, including our website, ThaiPBSWorld.com, for all the latest updates as well as analyses. Tomorrow is actually a holiday, so we will be seeing you next Monday. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadee ka. Have a nice long weekend.